Yeah, we should be going on. Yep, yep, we should be good. Yep, yep, we're good. All right, all right. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom,
YAHAWASHI.
shalom.
We're gonna start off as always, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah,
Hawa,
BAHASHAM,
Hashem,
Shai,
Hashem,
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 Dash.
Kodash.
Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. Akim and the Aquat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson is edifying. We're gonna try something a little different. This is gonna be a 12-part series. We're gonna try to work on every week. Bringing out a lesson on it. We're gonna go into the 12 tribes, how the 12 tribes Israelites. And we're gonna start from the bottom, working ourselves all the way up to Judah. Which is the main tribe. Which Yahawashi came out of. And being that Issachar is at the bottom of the list doesn't mean that they're last or anything, but that's just the way it's put on the chart. But we're gonna start off with Issachar, and we actually got a brother that's from Issachar. If we could, the Lord permits us to, try to get every certain brother from each tribe to join with us, when we bring out these lessons, basically just to, try to get brothers to understand how each of these tribes are Israelites, because you got a lot of people that always ask questions, and we do have a chart that says that you are Israelites, but we have to try to prove to people to let them know how they are, what makes them, Israelites, and how they go through the same, curses from Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and you could see that in different occasions we all went through the same thing, like the scriptures say, Judah and Israel were oppressed together, and we were all oppressed together at one point, So, we definitely all fit the scriptures of the curses, right? And Lord willing that every week it's, edifying for each brother and a few sisters that's listening in. All right. I got something.
I do have the first one that where Issachar is even mentioned out of Genesis 30. If your brothers want to start there.
Go ahead.
Con, I'm gonna start out, and you brothers can stop me whenever to interject. But this is Genesis 30 and 14. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. When Rachel said to Leah, "Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes." Verse 15. And she said unto her, "Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldst thou take away my son's mandrakes also?" And Rachel said, "Therefore he shall lie with me tonight for thy son's mandrakes." So they're doing an exchange right here, because it was Rachel's night to lay with Jacob, but Leah was wanting Jacob that night for whatever reason. So she paid Rachel with her son's mandrakes. And this is verse 16. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, "Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes." And he laid with her that night. And we know what that means.
Yep.
So, and God, Yahawah, hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob the fifth son. And Leah said, "Yahawah hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband." And she called his name Issachar, which means he is hired. Yashashkar.
That's good. It's beautiful. You got something, Brother John?
Yeah, after and knowing that we can go to, I believe it was around 922 BC, where Issachar was one of the northern tribes. I mean, we got that came out of that independent kingdom and Assyria, right? Mm-hmm. So under King Shalmaneser, right, they were these tribes that the brother was just speaking about were carried away.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go to Deuteronomy 28th chapter, we can see that when we go through this presentation, you'll understand that Issachar is under the curses, just like the other 11 tribes. So we go through process of elimination, out in the world, when we look at the 18 nations, that Issachar is one of the tribes that's under the curses that Judah is, under Levi and Benjamin, all the way down. You see, so they survived coming out of there in 721 BC, I believe.
Man.
Right? And these are the Mayans, Aztecs, what they call them, Aztecas.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
The Incas, I believe.
Right. They were, we came through as Judah. We, Levi and Benjamin, we were part of the transatlantic slave trade. Well, they were part of the transoceanic slave trade.
That's right.
Well, that was the first ones where they were man-napped and woman-napped and kidnapped. Right? And they sent them out into the fields, and what were they doing to Issachar? Brothers was cutting cane, sugar cane, before Judah was picking cotton.
That's right.
We'll learn all this going through this lesson when the brothers present this, and hopefully it's edifying to the body of YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI.
That's right. As a matter of fact, if I could, brother, now that you mentioned that about, Shalmaneser, the king of the Assyrians and all that, I'm gonna bring it out a little chapter real quick that I got in this book. It's the Aztecs, right? Like the brother Zan was going into, which the Aztecs go into the Mexicans, understand? You understand? Then you got, Zebulon, which was going into the Mayans. The brother, you were saying it before, the Incas going into like the Peruvians and all that, more of the southern, the South American tribes, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead.
I got that second Issachar. After you read that chapter, to bring it through the scripture, the second Issachar 13, that goes into that King Solomon. Whenever you're ready.
Beautiful. It's gonna take a little bit. I'm just gonna read this first up to where it talks about the Assyrian, the king of the Assyrians. I'm gonna try to skip through it, grab what's the important part. But it says, this is chapter 1 in the Aztecs. It says, which treats of the possible place of origins of the Indians, of the Indies and mainland and of this new world, which I want to grab real quick, which I'm reading it right now. Me and the brother Nahar was speaking about how what did you say the Mexico was
so in the native tongue before Spanish was the main language in Mexico, they called Mexico, or the inhabitants of Mexico, Mexica or Mexicans, which goes into also, the anointed ones, which is plural. So
right, beautiful. And him saying that if you go into Mexican, which I'm looking at it right now, as a matter of fact, let me just do this real quick. If I may share the screen real quick. How many of you guys can see this? You guys can see that?
It's a little small. I don't think I'd be able to read it, but if I was on a desktop, I'm sure.
I got you real quick. Better?
It's a little better. I'm blind anyways.
It's all good. It'll probably be more on the viewer screen. But Mexican, when you go into Mexican, it says right here, native or inhabitant of Mexico, and just like I was just reading, it says, which treats of the possible place of the origin of the Indians of the Indies in the mainland of this new world, So going into that word native, that's where they come out with these native, Indians and things like that, showing that they are the same people type, that we're all part of the same, So before I wanted to read that, I wanted to just bring that out real quick. Now let me go back to where we were at. Salakia, right there. All right. So I'm gonna read real quick. It says, in order to discuss the real and truthful account of the origin, the beginnings of these Indian nations, so mysterious and remote to us, and to discover the real truth about them, some divine revelation or spirit of Yahawah would be needed. However, lacking this, it will be necessary to make conjectures and reach conclusions through the many proofs that these people give us with their strange ways and manner of conduct and their lowly conversation, so like that of the Hebrews. Because of their nature, we could almost affirm that these are Jews and Hebrew people. And I believe that I would not be committing a great error if I were to state this fact, considering their way of life, their ceremonies, their rites, and superstitions, their omens and false dealings. So related to and characteristic of those of the Jews. The Holy Scripture is witness of this, and we shall use it as our testimony. As proof of this opinion, we know that these newly arrived nations and Indian people coming from strange and remote regions made a long and tedious journey until they came to take possession of this country. And they passed many years in reaching this place. One gathers this from the traditions and paintings and from talking to the old people. There are many people who tell fables. Some say that Indians were born of spring waters, others say that they were born of caves, or that their race is that of the gods, all of which is clearly legend and shows that they themselves are ignorant of their origin and beginnings. They always profess to have come from strange lands, and I have found this depicted in their ancient painted manuscripts, where they portrayed the great periods of hunger, thirst, and nakedness, which innumerable afflictions that they suffered until they reached this country and settled in it. And this is like the last part right here. It says, because of all these things, my suspicions are confirmed that these natives are part of the 10 tribes of Israel, which Shalmaneser, the king of Assyrians, captured and took to Assyria in the time of Hosea, king of Israel, in the time of Ezekiel, king of Hezekiah, Salakia, king of Jerusalem, as can be read in the 4th book of Kings, chapter 18. Right, so and then it says, where one finds that Israel was carried out of its own land to Assyria. So that right there is showing you that they are literally considered as Hebrews and Jews. You know what I'm saying? That's the proof right there. Because the Aztecs, we know that they are actually goes back to them being Issachar at the end of the day.
On and just real quick too, if you look at the Mexico flag, it has an eagle with a snake in its talons, because the legend goes that we were a wandering people looking for a land, like a holy land, to settle down in, and that was the sign giving us where to settle down. So it right out, even secular history, it even shows that, hey, we were wandering people looking for refuge, which fits Israel to a T. So I do have that second message whenever you're ready out.
Yeah, go ahead. You got anything to say, Brother Zahn?
No, go ahead, brother.
And this is just the scriptures that back up what Shawah was reading out of the exile.
I'm gonna precept you when you go through 2nd Esdras 13. You're going 1340, right?
Khan, that's where I'm starting. I was gonna go to 46.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, and feel free to stop me anytime. This is 2nd Esdras 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. 41. But they took this counsel amongst themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country, and this is the point, where never mankind dwelt. Verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region, Salakia, is called Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. So
right. If you can now, to precept that, we can go to the book of 1 Kings, 11th chapter. If y'all, can we grab that? 1 Kings 11 and 31.
You got 1 Kings 11 and 31. Got you. And it says, and he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord Yahawah, the power of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee.
Okay, so that 10 tribes that he just spoke about that was carried away from Assyria, we're talking about them same tribes. So we can correlate the scriptures, okay, and the Apocrypha to the actual KJV for non-believers in the Apocrypha, right? You can continue, brother.
Got you. It says, what happened? What happened?
You got 30. You're doing 31. Okay, let's go to
32 right now.
Okay, let's go to 2 Kings 17 and 6.
Right, 2 Kings 17 and 6, and it says, in the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria, and placed them in Halah and in harbor by the river of Gazan, and the cities of the Medes.
Okay, we're gonna go down to verse. Keep on going, brother, to verse 9. Baba Kasho.
Yep. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their power, and had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods.
Right.
And
so we know that one kingdom, the Israel, was all wicked under Jeroboam, correct?
That's right.
Wicked king.
Right. So that whole idol worship and all that is going to start right here when their brother continues. Go ahead, brother.
It says, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Lord their power, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced cities.
And they set them up images and groves in every high hill under every green tree. It's the same thing Solomon was doing, right? Praising those idols. This is why when he read earlier that the children of Israel had sinned, this is Issachar.
Okay.
See, along else with the other northern tribes.
That's right.
Right? Very next verse, 2 Kings 17:11. And there they burned incense in all the high places, and did as the heathen realm, whom the Lord carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke the Lord to anger. You see? So they were burning incense and doing the customs of the heathen. Right? Next verse, 2 Kings 17:12. For they served idols, whereof the Lord has said unto them, you should not do this thing. Right? And the northern kingdom till this day is doing the same thing. They're heavy into idolatry. Right? Heavy into Santa Maria.
And I was just mentioning to the brother, you can't go to a panaderia, which is where they make breads, or a Mexican tienda, which is just a Mexican store specifically for those products, without going past an aisle with nothing but Caesar Borgia, those candles. And I was mentioning the brother, now they're putting cartel leaders that have been, killed on those candles too. Just making an idol over anything and everything.
And Issachar is heavy with the Year of the Dead, where they paint dead faces on their face. They're into all these things. You can't go into a Mexican restaurant most of the time and get a burrito without seeing the Christos on the wall.
Yeah, or Virgin Mary.
Mary, because it started back then into that heavy idolatry with the Northern Kingdom. There was not one righteous king coming from that lineage.
And it sucks.
Salakia, go ahead.
You're good. I was just gonna say, it just sucks when you go to those restaurants. Hey, now that meat has been sacrificed into idols. It was going into back to the polluted state that we live in.
Right.
But
that's what I was talking about in the camp yesterday. How how I was telling you before the live, that the northern kingdom was so bad in that eventually Judah ended up following after them. You know what I'm saying? Taking after their, the same thing that they were doing. And that's why the Lord basically casted us all away. You know what I'm saying? He just threw us all away because we became the harlot. We were playing the harlot. And if you look today, even today, you can still see how spiritually that the northern kingdom, they'll literally worship anything. See, you got, the southern kingdom that worships, mostly Caesar Borgia, but they still have a strong zeal toward the Lord, but not according to knowledge. But where you got the northern kingdom, they just completely gone with idols. Ephraim is joined on to idols and things like that, So they literally will see like a piece of shit on the floor and they'll start worshiping it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're the worst when it comes to worshiping these idols, man.
Well, even the ones, Salakia, if I can, even the ones, like Mexico, for example, they were colonized. It's a reason for all this. They were colonized, right? Remember, Cortez came and colonized them. They were colonialized and conquered by Cortez. That's why they say Hispanic.
Yeah, property of Spain.
Hispanic, right? So a Hispanic is a heathen. Right?
Right.
If you coming from Spain, if you're a forefather from Spain, you're a damn devil, man. You're a heathen.
That's right.
You have nothing to do with the 12 tribes. And see, that's just why when we can't judge someone by how they look.
That's right.
Because you can't tell if a brother is from Mexico or if he's Hispanic, because most of them gonna say I'm Hispanic because they don't know. Right? But the Spirit bears witness, and when we go through these precepts, I mean, we can even pull out Revelation 7:7, right? If we go to Revelation the 7th chapter, there Issachar is one of the tribes being saved.
And I had that one on my notes too.
You did? Yeah. Okay, yeah, all praises. Yeah. So Issachar, that's one of the tribes. Now I want to go back to that. The Catholics, being into heavily into idolatry, because when Cortez came to Central America, that's all he brought, right? And this would happen before 1492 when Colombo came. So Issachar was one of the first tribes that's been under the hand of the wicked before the 12 tribes, before Judah.
That's right.
I thought it.
Wanted to grab something real quick. So
right there.
Before you get that, I'm gonna bring this out. This is Jeremiah 50:17 to bring out my point. It says, Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria had devoured him, right? And that's going into Shalmaneser. And the last king, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, have broken his bones. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land as I have punished the king of Assyria. So they got punished just as well.
I have a little, I got something that I'll do that in a second. I'll bring this out in a second. Something that just popped up in my head because that word ISRAELITE, right, to prove that it is actually America. But I want, go ahead, brother Nahar, if you have that.
Oh, did you want the Revelation 7:7?
Yeah.
This is Revelation 7:7. Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000.
Right. And we go into the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. It said that this will be of a sign. Well, Issachar is one of the tribes that you can tell is a sign because they heavy under the curses. As far as being poor and abolished into different ghettos and barrios.
That's right. Matter of fact, you even had Issachar at one point. A lot of Issacharites was getting hung, just like how they was hanging, Judah and all that. You know what I'm saying? They was getting hung at one point, very heavy.
Right.
That goes into the curses itself.
So y'all was the Issachar and the northern tribes were driven away into these ghettos, just like Judah was. See, we were all oppressed, suppressed, and depressed, and have under the hand of Esau, Edom.
A lot of people don't know.
Fight amongst each other.
Yeah, never being able to get on one accord.
Nope.
But a lot of people don't know too that during the Great Depression, that a lot of these so-called white people, they were actually rounding up Issacharites specifically, even though they were on their farms for hundreds of years, for generations and generations, because during the Great Depression, we understand that America was in a low economic state. So to help better the odds of so-called these crackers getting jobs, they were actually deporting Mexicans that had full citizenships, titles, lands, homes, and literally deporting them to Mexico. And then they would move a white family or a white rancher on their land. So there was hundreds of thousands, and this is documented in U.S. history, hundreds of thousands of Issacharites that got rounded up and shipped back to Mexico. And just to even the odds, which, they ended up having to bring a bunch back, less than 50 years in the 70s, because they were having a farming worker shortage. Just like the same thing we kind of experienced when Trump went into office. They weren't finding workers that could work in the fields because, first off, no one's going to be a worker unto tribute and bow their shoulder, like Issachar, because obviously that's one of our blessings and it's also one of our curses, our work ethic, like it talks about in Genesis 49, where we received our blessings.
Right.
So it's the backbone of how a lot of the hard work is done. Going off on a little rant, but I work construction and you see nothing but Issacharites, maybe a sprinkle of Edomites, but no, it's mainly Issachar working the hard jobs.
And it's basically, the bloodshed, the blood, sweat, and tears of Issachar that this whole entire economy has been built on. Basically straight Issachar. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got the other tribes and all that, but like you said, it just goes back to that name. You know what I'm saying? He is hired. That's why he's hired for the job. He's the hard worker. Like when you were saying earlier with the how the donkey represents, if you want to bring that out, how he's such a hard, worker, just like the donkey. That's why on his flag you have that donkey. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I looked up the attributes of the animal, the donkey, just because the reason I looked it up is just because that is like the ox said, the symbol of the tribe of Issachar, which is very fitting just because the donkey, the symbolic meaning is hardworking and determination, because a donkey, no matter how hard the job is, he's going to push through and get it done. If you ever seen a mule plow through a field with a big old plow to get the lines in, it's hard work. But this is just a determination. Definition is firmness of purpose, resoluteness, willpower, backbone, boldness, persistence, steadfastness.
And that's heavy, because that's why Issachar is always picked for the job. That's the backbone to the work when they're laying out these jobs. They're going to get that. That's going to be the best man for the job. They're going to make sure that it don't matter how much you paying them, they're going to give you blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it correlates with that whole thing of you bringing up the donkey. That's heavy right there. That's spiritual right there.
And I have a personal testimony that I heard literally this morning. It was myself, one of the general contractors that manages the painting crews for some of the houses, and then also another superintendent. And he was literally bragging to us how he hired 2 Mexican crews to do 3 houses, 3 interiors and 1 exterior. And he was bragging for how much he had to pay him. He said, yeah. And they only said that they would do it for $800. So, hey, have at it, and I'm just here just with my fucking mouth shut, man, because I don't want to say shit. But hey, man, one of those houses interiors is worth $800, man. I see some of the bids that they put in that they give to these fucking, Jack's Painting or whatever, these sprinkle of Edomites. They're not paying low dollar for them. They literally paid 2 Issacharite crews $800 to do 3 houses and 1 exterior over the Memorial Day weekend. Because when I came back to work, all that shit was already done.
Yeah.
It is vexing, but it's still very much in effect to this day. If people think that that was back then, no, it wasn't. It was this morning. So
That's crazy, man. That's right. Look, the brother put that up. This is Genesis. I can see that, right?
Done.
Genesis Issachar, 49 and 14. Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens, you know, and that he's, you know, if you look at Issachar, very strong people, man, you know. Even when you see, like, you know, let's just look real quick, you know, when you see Issachar boxing and doing sports,
Yeah.
they strong, they hard to bring down, you know, like they always putting up that fight, you know, they never give up on everything they do, man. That is crazy spiritual right there, man.
Yeah, in the boxing world alone, there's been over 200 world champions out of Mexico alone. It's the #1 country to produce worldwide boxing champions.
Wow.
So
that's heavy right there.
And yeah, I got those.
You got something to say, Azan?
Yeah, just looking at the comment board. Brothers is posting some good scriptures. Now, this is what we were speaking about, where Issachar doesn't know who you are. You're calling yourself Hispanics and you're praising all these other gods. Well, they fall under the same category as, you know, all the rest of the tribes. In Psalms 83 and 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, and see, the name of Israel is all 12 tribes. So we suffer right here, and it says maybe no more remembrance. So now we are walking around in Babylon and no more remembrance of who we are. And that's why going through the precept of Jeremiah 17 and 4 and Baruch 2 and 34 and Baruch 4, we understand that this was going to happen in the North Country. Right. That we would wake up. And just like the brother Nahar is on this live with us, this is a prime example how the northern tribes will wake up too. You know, even though the tents of Judah has been raised up first.
Yeah.
Hey, but the other tribes are following along. So we understand that this is prophecy. Right? And just to add on to that, and it says in Veracruz, Mexico, they have found artifacts till this date back to Israel with the archaeological evidence of the Mayans when they were wearing phylacteries.
Mm-hmm.
So when we see the pictures of them wearing the phylacteries, we say that they got fringes on.
Yeah, the ponchos.
Ponchos.
Yeah, fringes.
So when we see that Gad and Reuben are wearing the same thing, hey, it all circles around to a nucleus that makes sense.
That's right.
We're all part of the 12 tribes of Israel because we're all suffering under Deuteronomy 28.
That's right.
All 12 tribes.
Yeah.
Right? The brother here, we got it right here. Beautiful. Tazar Machazah. Baruch 2 and 30. For I knew that they would not hear me because it was a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves.
That's right.
Right? And that's a melting pot of all 12 tribes. In the land of the North America, now through the internet, YouTube, brothers from different countries, Central America and other countries are hearing this truth and are waking up because this is being done by the spirit of YAHAWASHI BAHASHAM. All this was going to come to pass.
That's right. Beautiful. Matter of fact, before I forget, let me just grab this real quick if I may, brothers. You still got that Nahar 13, 2 Ezra 13?
Khan, I got it on deck right here.
Yeah, read that last part where it said Azareth, just to prove that Azareth was America. because they were not. See, a lot of people don't understand that. You know, they think it's gonna say America in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
you have to know history. You have to go back into history to understand these things. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, just read that quick scripture real quick.
Come on, this is 2nd Issachar 13 and 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Asareth.
That's right. And going into that, it is, you know, it basically would take a 3-year, you know, to go all the way down by the, I believe it was what, by the Euphrates River around there, breaking, going down all the way towards Africa on the bottom on the coastline to go all the way around towards where South America was. It took you a year and a half, so it would take you 3 years if you was to go there and come back. Which I believe, who was it that was going over there with ships and the Navy ships?
Solomon, yeah, to get gold.
To get gold, and he would, you know, that correlates with that also, that they were already going to America at one point. You know what I'm saying? But this is real quick. This says Azareth. This is from the Jewish Encyclopedia. It says the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of the restoration. You see, so that means that we're still here to this day, and this is why most of the Israelites are here in America today. You see, we still have Israelites scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth, but most of the Israelites, most of the tribes that are going to be beamed up, they're here today in America. You see, and it says until the time of the restoration, according to 2nd Ezra 45, Columbus identified America with this land. You see, and that's just to prove that that's actually speaking of the 10 tribes being brought over here. You know, and as a matter of fact, real quick, if I may, quick precept on that, going into John 10. Real quick, Salakia. This is John 10 and this is John 10 and 16. And it says, and other sheep I have which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold, they shall be one fold and one shepherd, And that was talking about us that was out here already in the Americas, you know, because when that, you know, the Syrian Empire brought us over here, we were them sheeps that was of not of that fold. So YAHAWASHI at one point, it was like basically YAHAWASHI had came to the Americas to let these people know that, you know, they were Israelites, which back in those days, Gad and I believe it was Gad and Reuben, you know, they were calling them they didn't know it was YAHAWASHI, the name, but they will call on a quasi quota.
Yeah, Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, something like that. And it was all going back to YAHAWASHI, you know what I'm saying? So
that
go ahead.
I was just gonna you finish what you were saying, Oxalot.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna, it just came into my head too. I remember the elder speaking on this too, but that's also why YAHAWASHI said, unto any of the cities of the Samaritans enter ye not, because, you know, they understood that the Israelites that were inhabiting those cities were moved away, because King Salmanasar actually moved in a lot of Assyrians into that area once the 10 tribes left. So, you know, I mean, obviously you're going to have Israelite foreigners there sprinkled regardless.
That's right.
But, you know, he told his disciples, and I can get that scripture.
Yeah, go ahead if you could.
Let me read this. This is Rash Sharaf. Shalom, brother.
Shalom.
Shalom.
To everybody on the comment board.
Yeah, YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, everybody in the comment board.
Everybody watching also, you know, tuning in.
This is Revelation 11:4. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before God of the earth. And that's speaking of both tribes.
That's right.
Both
Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom.
The Southern and Northern Kingdom. There's a deeper breakdown on that, but we don't have enough time for that. But that's what it's speaking of. And what we're doing is, like I said, we're bringing out prophecy, because Revelation 11:3, before that, and I will give power unto those 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 203 store days clothed in sackcloth. That represents what we're doing on these highways and byways, every weekend in and midweek camps. You see? Nahar, go ahead, brother, because I'm gonna bring out Revelation 11 and 8.
Come on, I'll read this real quick. This is Matthew 10 and 5. These 12 YAHAWASHI sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. Verse 6, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Mm.
That's right.
So,
That's right. Can the brother grab Revelation 11 and 8?
Yeah, I got you.
The water.
This is Revelation and 8, and it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
Right. So look what they're doing to our brothers and sisters down there on the border. Right. We saw horses, police officer on horses whipping,
yeah.
the northern kingdom. You telling me they don't fall under the curses?
That's right.
Right. And I want to bring up a point. How do y'all think about how avocados get over here?
Limes. Yeah.
And limes and things like that. See, we don't, the commerce that is built up, avocados, brothers from Issachar, Mexico, what's it say? Avocados from Mexico, right?
Yep.
Why do you think you pay extra for guacamole when you go somewhere? They tell you it's going to be extra $2 or something for guacamole because brothers over there are dying through the cartels.
That's right.
Why? For the American greed and American delicacy of avocados. It ain't going to no other countries. It's coming to America. So they're dying down there over some from damn avocados, man.
It's crazy too.
The cartel ain't letting nothing slip by.
No, they literally have to carry those caravans of avocados with armed convoys. Yeah. And when the lime workers are working on the fields and stuff like that, those same lime workers, whoever owns that farm, they have to pay a tribute to the cartels, or they're gonna get killed and their fields will get burnt.
So the cartels, and that's a great point. The cartels are getting a piece of every and everything, which means that the United States knows this. The United States is doing dirty business with Mexico. You can look at the works of Vicente Fox when he was in power.
They arming them.
He's crooked. So you can't be in power as a justice in Mexico unless you're not crooked, because the cartels run everything. America works with them. They're not down there crying over Mexicans dying. Who cares? As long as we get our avocados up to Chipotle, to your El Torritos or wherever else.
Yeah.
Right? So this is part of the beast still doing wicked outside of America. Which we know that they're the EU and NATO, but they affect other countries, innocent countries that's under these curses. We always can go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 30.
Oh yeah.
Right? It says they can plant fields, but they won't enjoy the fields.
That's right.
Build houses and not dwell therein.
Who builds houses more than Issachar out in America?
That's right.
Right? But they're not living in them homes. They're going back to the ghetto in the barrios.
It's funny too, because today, not even to brag or anything, but for the builder that I work for, I've built 127 homes, and I can't afford one. I've profited them over millions of dollars for just being able to build, top to bottom, manage it, and
they take advantage. They take advantage of Issachar by giving you low wages.
Yep.
And that's part of the Genesis 49 and 12, that two burdens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I even went to the owner, and not to ramble, but this is just a real life example that I'm bilingual, and that when you're bilingual, you can take a federal test, and you can actually be federally notified in like a data system as a translator, so you can actually get paid more from whatever company, no matter where in the United States that you work for. And I brought it to the owner's attention, and I said, hey, well, can I get paid more for being bilingual? Because I talked to the trades that we work with, that another person talking with them would just leave them confused. Nothing would run as smoothly. And the owner said, nah, I'm good. I said, you're not even gonna allow me to take the test? And he's like, nope. The fucking, yeah, they ain't gonna pay you what you're worth ever. But I understand it. I understand as it curses, but it's just another example. Because if they would hire some Asian, and half their workers were Asian, they got to speak Chinese or whatever, they would pay him more.
Mm-hmm. And it's just spiritual, because that just goes way back to the time of like when we was in. That's like what the brother was just reading. Spiritually we are Sodom and Egypt. Same thing that was happening in Egypt. We wasn't getting blessed with anything. We was getting our asses whooped. You know what I'm saying? We was literally getting whipped just to do the job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To these damn fucking these what do you call them? These pyramids,
bricks.
Bricks out the brick. It's crazy, man.
Let me bring this out, brothers.
Go ahead.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's posting, brothers. It's posting. This is Haggai 1:6. Haggai 1:6. You have sown much and bring in little. You eat, but you have not enough.
That's right.
You drink, but you are not filled with drink. You clothe, ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. And that's what the brother was just talking about. And you build all these houses and matriculated the wealth for these damn devils, right? But they're not going to say, you know what, man, you have built us. So this one is yours.
Yeah.
This one is for you and your family.
That's right.
Right? Hey, Nahar, you're one of the best workers we've ever had. Matter of fact, you can serve two purposes, because you can speak two languages, so you can will and deal with the Northern Kingdom. You go deal with them. Yeah. Hey, go tell them what I said. Right? So they use and abuse, then they go back and eat fat into their fat ass houses.
That's right.
Man, you should see some of the stuff this owner's got that I work for. It's wild. Hey, enjoy your kingdom. Enjoy your kingdom. I don't want my consolation on this side anyways.
That's facts. That's facts.
Let's get this.
That's a heavy scripture right there too.
This is James 5:4. Behold, the hire of laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is you kept back by fraud, crieth. The cries of them which have reaped and have reaped are entered into the ears. Salakia. Ears of the
go up.
Sabbath.
Yep.
Right? So that's just speaking about when brothers is working all day long, but you don't enjoy your fruits of your labor.
That's right.
Well, this is a part of curses. And anybody ever try to, because we run into many brothers that's only only Old Testament brothers, and only New Testament brothers that don't understand that the volume of the book, the Lord is speaking of all 12 tribes. Right? We bring out these precepts and say, okay, well, they were under the curses too. Matter of fact, Issachar's right now is out of all 12 tribes, Issachar and Judah are the damn bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
I got one.
Go ahead, bring it up.
This is Micah 2:2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
Right.
That's right. Precept. Faithful 1:4, hopeful elect. Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons and daughters shall be given into another people, and thy eyes shall look, and fail with longing for them all day long, and there should be no might in thy hand. And there is no might in the hand of a brother that's in the field working, sitting in front of Home Depot for 13 hours looking for a $5 job in 2022. Right? You know, and you know, I just to be frank, I'm guilty of that back in the day before I came into this truth. If I wanted something done, I'm going to Issachar because I know that I was able to give them cheap wages, and they would get the job done.
Yep.
You know,
That's right.
so all this falls back to what the brother was right here. The fruit of thy hand and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed away. Telling me that ain't before?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I got one if I may, real quick. Now you're saying that. This is Deuteronomy 28:66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt not have none assurance of thy life. Yeah, because here it is, these you know, our brothers are literally killing themselves out there. You know how many of these jobs, you know, people die on these jobs, you know what I'm saying? And they don't even you know, they won't even really tell you about if something happened like that, you know. They'll keep it between the job, you know what I'm saying? And then they'll pretty much go out there and try to give your family just some type of compensation, but it's not even worth what that man just lost his life for, you know what I'm saying? Because this is also going in through us, you know, with police officers and being in the gang life, and you know, we have no insurance or assurance of our life, but it could relate to actual jobs, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of our people, man, they die on these job sites. You know, you got Issachar climb a fucking tree to the highest point or to the highest part of a building hanging on a little harness. You know, what happens if something snaps or something, you know? You're not, how you going to compensate that man's life, you know? You're going to give their family a few bucks, you know, and tell them sorry, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to see Esau go do that shit, you know what I'm saying? They make sure that they put our people's lives in danger, you know, for things like that, just for them to build and establish their you know, their queendom of fucking iniquity, man. That shit is crazy, man.
Yep. Last year in Idaho, there was 2 Issacharites working in an excavation hole that caved in because they weren't using trenching boxes, and they got buried alive. 2 of them.
You see?
So
there's no assurance of your life there, and they didn't do nothing for them. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure they gave a little something, but not enough for what they just did. And I'm pretty sure before that, them men had made them millions of dollars doing other jobs. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
So what you just said, they fell in a hole and died.
Yeah.
That's the verse on the screen.
Man.
Deuteronomy 28, cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. You can't escape this.
That's right.
Right? And I got one, Genesis 9:7. And you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. Now, you tell me if I'm off, but Issachar can have some babies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, Issachar is always, you know, so this fruitful and multiply. We used to always say, like, bro, like they you know, they would have like 7. I used to have friends. They would have like 7 and 8, 9 families in one little 2-bedroom house.
That's right.
Until that, and until that one family had it, and one family move out, and the next one come. I mean, it would take care of each other.
I remember going to school with my cousins, 4 of us in the back, 2 in the front. You know, we'd all get out to school, man. We hear jokes at school. You know, how many Mexicans can you fit in that car? You know, it's a reality, man. And that's kind of funny that you brought that out, because that's also why I mentioned how Leah, you know, just speaking as a man, Leah was probably hot and heavy that night, wanted to get it in with Jacob, so she paid Rachel to make sure that she could get her rocks off. You know, now no disrespect to our foremother, but you know, hey, that's what it was. She wanted it when she wanted it. Hey, man, if you ever dealt with a Latina, or you ever hear the saying, my Latin lover or something like that, we're just that type of people, you know. But that's Jake in general. But, you know, Issachar, you know, has that vibe,
Nah,
sure.
it's true because the northern kingdom, they got some heat.
God.
They be some heavy heat with them. That's why
I'm, I'm not, speaking of
brothers always chasing them.
God.
speaking of heat, the brother put right here in California, where my folks picked them fields, people have passed out due to extreme heat.
Mm.
Right?
Oh, okay.
And today, I'm in California. It was 117 degrees out here.
Damn.
Okay, it's the hottest it's ever been in years. So Issachar are out in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
And also
at 5 in the morning till midday with an overseer over them while they're picking the fields and strawberries and things that you can eat on your, while you go to your fancy restaurants.
And it's messed up too, because when those high heats come, if you don't harvest the fruit in a quick amount of time, your fruit will go bad. Your plants will wither. So they actually hire more Issacharites for longer days in the hotter periods because they have to be able to get their profit before it goes away in the sun. And I've had friends of mine that even worked in the fields out here in Idaho growing up in high school, because if you wanted to work and you weren't 16 yet, and you were Issacharite, you had a few cousins that knew some cousins or whatever, you could get a job easily like that. And you would be able to make some money, but it's hard work.
Yeah. So they're using it, they're using and abusing them.
Yep.
Right? Misuse of your work. That's when we read about, if you're going to work, but you're going to have bags in your pockets.
That's right.
They're not going to pay you the per diem that you deserve. You know why? Because of the they can go back and get another Mexican.
Yep.
Get out of here. Talk to you how they want to, right? We'll bring another one up in here.
That's right.
Yep. And we used to call them paisas.
Yep.
The ones that can't speak any English at all, right? They're called that's a disrespectful name. We call them paisas.
Yeah. To another Mexican, it's like just like saying another thing, but somebody else saying it, it's kind of like it's disrespect. But like, oh yeah, paisa, it's like that,
right? But that again, we're gonna go back again to Deuteronomy 28.
Bywords,
proverbs, working in the field, a taskmaster over you.
That's right.
Yep.
See. So we're still being vexed to this day, all 12 tribes, starting with Issachar. Yep. And through the spirit of YAHAWASHI, Lamentations, you got Lamentations 4 and 21?
I got you.
Baba Kashaw.
Lamentations 4 and 21. And it says, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins.
Right. So the being carried away from was Salmanazer, carried away from the transatlantic slave trades, right? Carried away to these scattered to all these different captivities. We're scattered in America into this captivity. We started with the Assyrian, the Babylonian, the Medo-Persian, the Greek, the Greco-Roman, right? Now we're in this last captivity, and so being scattered. This is it. This is the last one, man. And what the brother just read, our iniquity has been accomplished. Our sentence is almost up.
I got one up. This is Psalms 137 and 8. O daughter of Babylon. I'm going to start up 137 and 7. Remember, O Lord Yahawah, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Verse 8. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
Beautiful. As a matter of fact, I got a quick precept. This is Revelations 22, and the point is at 3. I'll just start at the top real quick. And it says, and he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Yahawah and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of nations. And this is the point. It says, and there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Yahawah of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. You know, so we ain't gonna be under no more curses no more, man. That's when, you know, finally everything's gonna be established in righteousness upon the earth. You know, we're not gonna have to live under any more curses. All the curses that we once lived under, all right, Deuteronomy, there's gonna be no more Deuteronomy 28 chapter. You know, only these heathens are going to live under the curses of the Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Like it tells you in 30 and 7. You know, all these curses that were once upon us are going to be given on to these heathens, man. They're going to have to go through these things now. You know?
I got a precept for that.
Go ahead.
This is Isaiah 14:2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord, for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from thine hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve.
Beautiful.
Right. We can if y'all want to bring out one more, we can close. Just to touch on what you're saying, right? And we're all speaking. We're bringing out that it's going to be the curse is going to be reversed, and then the curses are going to start going on these heathen, on these devils. So I got Joel 3:5 down to 7 to 8. It says, because you have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whether you have sold them, and I will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters to the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to the people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. So that's what's coming for what you have done to us. Those curses are about to be reversed, and we're going to sell your daughters. It's going to be an Edomite slave trade, right? It's going to be a Moabite slave trade. All of you are going to go through what we went through 100-fold. You see? All right? And that's rewarding these devils double. The brother got it right here. Revelation 18:6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double her. You see, they're going to get 100-fold for doing what they've done to us. Double unto her according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. Right? So that's why we're going to sell you to the Sabians, and your daughters and your sons are going to go on blocks. In the kingdom of heaven, it's going to be a slave trade. Right? In the 144, we're going to have our pick. Thus saith the Lord YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI.
That's right. I know. I was going to say that too. That's right. That's what it is.
No, that's facts though.
Go on.
Real quick, I want to just, because we're about to close out, you know, just more proof. I forgot to bring this out before. More proof of, you know, Mexicans being Hebrew Israelites. One, you know, you have to remember the what was it, the Lunas stone, you know what I'm saying? Which that was found out there in New Mexico, I believe it was.
Yep.
Yeah, Veracruz.
Exactly. So that's more proof that, you know, our people, you know, that Issachar was part of those tribes, you know, because on that Lunas stone, they found what? They found the name of Yahawah. They found Hebrew that was written upon there, you know, and that was all, you know, because of, you know, Issachar being around that area. And this is another, this is from the origin of the American Indians. Just a quick little part. It says the only other writer this author found who accepted the Issachar variation of the 10 lost tribes theory was Belshazzar de Medina, Medina, Salaka de Medina, in his Crónica de los Santa Provincia de San Diego de Mexico, and it was in 1682. It says, although Medina thought the South Americans and how you say this, Yucatecans,
Yeah, Yucatan.
yep, were descendants of the Gentile Ectacan, Ectan, there you go, father of Ophir, says the Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribes captured by Salmanzer and the family of Issachar, whom the Indians recognized as their special ancestor.
Oh.
So that's something just more of showing that, the Mexicans, the Issachar is of the 12 tribes, man. Because again, you got a lot of people that you got these black only Israelites, you know what I'm saying? Oh, no way that these, these Latino tribes are part of. No, man, we were all oppressed together, and we are all one body in YAHAWASHI, man. It's just, we were scattered. And because we were scattered, we look like different types of other nations, and different skin tones and things like that. But at the end of the day, whether you want to believe it or not, man, the spirit's gonna speak for itself. The scripture's gonna speak for itself. And these tribes, right, we all go back to, like the brother was saying, Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. When we do this series, it's always gonna go back to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, because we all fell under the same curses, man.
And just real quick to add, just not so much for Issachar specific, but for the 10 tribes that were over here, there's a stone called the Chief Joseph Tablet, which was a 2-inch by 2-inch sales receipt in cuneiform for sacrificial animals when we were in Babylon. That was passed down to him from generations. You can look it up. It's called the Chief Joseph Tablet, and it's just a little square tablet with cuneiform writing on it, but it was sacrificial animals. You know, so it's even more archaeological proof. And then what about all the stones that were verified in Puerto Rico? I think there was over 800 with Hebrew writing on it. So 10 tribes have been all up down here. So why would the Issacharites be the only ones that, so-called Mexicans, I could say, the only ones that wouldn't be? We're all Jakes right here.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we got that melanin, brother. We were workers, man, and if I could just bring this out, right? Because we are the sand of the sea. We're just we're different shades of brown.
That's right.
Jeremiah 12:9, my heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about me are against her, right? And that goes into Psalms 83, right? All the nations, even you can even go into Lazarus, that all the other nations are licking the dog's wounds.
Yeah, licking the sores.
That's a precept upon a precept.
That's right.
If you will. But my heritage unto me is a speckled bird. The birds round about me are against her. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. And that's what's happening. That's what happened to Issachar starting first, because we're dealing with Issachar first. They have been devoured and swallowed up, right, by the chief council of the wicked, all these Idumeans, right? And they use Issachar again for your commerce. You use them for sex. You go down to Mexico and they got all the brothels and things set up in these different countries in Central America. So you're using them for prostitution.
Drugs.
Right?
Drugs, yep.
All these things are going to come back on your ass, Esau, and all the other nations as well. Right? So this captivity, according to Lamentations 4:21, like the brother read, we're almost done with this. His last days of taking advantage of the 12 tribes is almost over there, brother. So this has been a beautiful lesson, brothers. All praise to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Pray that it was edifying to the body and elect. And you guys got some understanding of Issachar, and if, you know, I pray that it made sense to you.
If I could just recommend one book to really solidify that we're under the same curses, this book is called The American Holocaust. If none of the Akim have ever heard of it, but it goes into the different tactics and all the atrocities and the 90 million plus Jakes that were slaughtered here when the colonialists came, colonizers came. So, it's a good history context to show you that we fit those curses of Deuteronomy 28 to a T.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
Let's say we were led to the slaughter like sheep.
Yep.
That's right.
We all, even my brother up there, Zebulon, he falls into that too.
Yep.
See?
That's right.
Well, this is why the heathen doesn't fit the precepts. Only the 12 tribes. So call law and law, but now YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI. Pray this lesson has been edifying. So wow, you want to close it out?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, go ahead, Nahar, you close it out. You Issachar, baby.
Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect and to the believers scattered abroad. And we're going to end it the same way we started it, by facing east and giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Ruach HaKodesh, and double honors to our beloved elders and apostles at Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to all you hopeful elect Akim out there laboring and pushing this word of truth and sincerity. And with that being said, Shalom. DTA and Abab Abal.
Abab.
Soon.
Shalom. Shalom. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shabrak.